our Coast Guard, our Border Patrol are seeing drones used against them. Criminals using them to surveil them, to find out law enforcement operations, and to leak them, and to put their lives in danger. So making sure that we have the ability to operate and to see far into the future and over our operations is important, but we also need the opportunity to take them down when necessary. We've seen the cartels using weaponized drones against each other. We know it's only a matter of time before we see that here on the homeland. My job is to make sure that we're prepared.
For 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ranking member, and members of this committee. I thank you, too, to our witnesses for being here today, for your work to protect the homeland in an increasingly complex threat environment. My question today focuses specifically on the evolving drone threat. Mr. Glasheen, the FBI's National Counter UAS Training Center at Redstone Arsenal is now the central hub for preparing federal, state, and local partners for drone threats at major events. What makes Redstone Arsenal such an effective location for this mission, and how does that setting support the scale of training required for World Cup, America 250, and the 2028 Olympics?
Thank you for your question, Congressman. What makes Redstone a great partner for us is, one, the support that we have from Congress. Number two, the space we have there. The FBI has been in Huntsville for a long time. Huntsville also houses our Special Agent Bomb Technician Program, where we train bomb technicians, EOD professionals across the United States, and we model the counter UAS school off of that. So that proof of concept has been in place, and we're mirroring that process to train the counter UAS operators.
Thank you. I was there for the inaugural graduation. I'm telling you, it was most impressive. I can assure you there's no other location in the country that offers the same mix of controlled airspace, testing ranges, partnered agencies, and mission infrastructure that the FBI has at Redstone Arsenal. Counter UAS has the ability in Huntsville to jam, block, drop, intercept, and do forensics. As demand for this specialized training grows, what investment should Congress prioritize to ensure long-term stability for this mission at Redstone?
I'd say yesterday, or the legislation in front of, I think, the Senate right now for the NDA, for the authorities, that'd be the first step to give us the ability to lawfully use the counter U.S. authorities. I think additionally, is just like the computer technology, it evolves with the months. And so the counter-UAS technology is going to change, so have the appropriate funding and support to stay up with that technology so we can mitigate the threats that our nation faces.
Thank you. Those graduates were from all over the country, and it was most impressive. Secretary Noem, this committee has failed to thank you for your faithful service to America. The southern border is closed. Human smugglers, drug traffickers, and illegal aliens that invaded this country from more than 160 different countries are being returned to the country of their origin. Fentanyl poisonings are down more than 35%. Secretary Noem, thank you for your efforts to keep these drugs out of our country in an effort to save a generation of Americans. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's an American issue, and I thank you. Secretary Noem, many of the most advanced counter unmanned aerial systems technologies are being tested and evaluated in North Alabama. How is DHS ensuring that those capabilities transition quickly into field use, particularly ahead of these major events, and what more can Congress do to accelerate the pipeline?
No, we appreciate the authorities that are necessary for us to operate, and standing up a drone program and counter drone program is one of the top 3 priorities of the department this next year to meet the threats that we face every day. Every day, our Secret Service, our Coast Guard, our Border Patrol are seeing drones used against them. Criminals using them to surveil them, to find out law enforcement operations, and to leak them, and to put their lives in danger. So making sure that we have the ability to operate and to see far into the future and over our operations is important, but we also need the opportunity to take them down when necessary. We've seen the cartels using weaponized drones against each other. We know it's only a matter of time before we see that here on the homeland. My job is to make sure that we're prepared and that we're equipped, and to advocate to you for the authorities that we need to make that happen.
Thank you. With the new counter-UAS authorities expected to be enacted as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, the next challenge is execution. What concrete steps is DHS planning to take in the coming months to ensure that these new authorities are fully operational before the FIFA World Cup, the Olympics, and America 250? And I even want to take it even further. You start looking at college football. We've got to take it even further rather than they're all large gathering events. I actually had the Secretary of Security of the Southeastern Conference before Mr. Kennedy and my committee, and it was unbelievable. On any given weekend, 8 to 10 football stadiums with greater than 90,000 people there. We must defend the home front. And I'm sorry that my time has expired, but I thank you for being before this committee today.
Appreciate the gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentlelady from New Jersey, Ms. McIver, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking.
What we just witnessed in this hearing was not a shouting match or a viral confrontation. It was something quieter and in many ways more revealing. A lawmaker looked directly at the officials tasked with protecting the nation and asked a simple but unsettling question. Are we ready for what's coming from above? When Congressman Barry Moore spoke about drones, he wasn't talking about distant battlefields or abstract future threats. He was talking about the skies over American cities, stadiums, celebrations, and everyday life. He pointed to Redstone Arsenal in Alabama, a place where federal, state, and local authorities are being trained not for theory, but for reality. Controlled airspace, live testing, real-world conditions, and as the witness explained, this isn't a pilot program or a thought experiment. It's a growing response to a threat that evolves month by month, sometimes week by week. This moment matters because it exposes how modern danger no longer announces itself with sirens or uniforms. It arrives quietly, remotely, and cheaply. A small machine, a signal, a camera, and suddenly, the balance between security and vulnerability shifts. That is the uncomfortable truth underlying this exchange. The tools that once belonged only to advanced militaries are now accessible, adaptable, and increasingly used against those sworn to protect public safety. When the FBI official described the training at Redstone Arsenal, he emphasized continuity. Huntsville has long been home to bomb technician training, a proven model built on repetition, realism, and interagency cooperation. The counter-UAS program mirrors that structure because the stakes demand it. This is not about experimentation. It's about readiness. It's about ensuring that when millions gather for events like the World Cup, the Olympics, or national commemorations, those responsible for safety are not learning on the fly. But the hearing went deeper than infrastructure and training facilities. It moved into the realm of authority and responsibility. The witness made clear that without proper legal authorization, even the best trained personnel are constrained. Technology moves fast. Threats adapt. And the law, often slower by design, must catch up without sacrificing accountability. The call for congressional action wasn't political theater. It was a reminder that governance itself can become a vulnerability if it lags too far behind reality. Then came a shift in tone. Congressman Moore turned to the Secretary of Homeland Security and offered praise for efforts at the southern border and broader Homeland Security operations. He framed it deliberately as neither partisan nor ideological, but national, an American issue. That framing is important because it reflects how security debates are evolving. The threats discussed in this room do not check voter registration cards. They exploit gaps, delays, and complacency. Secretary Noem's response underscored that point. She described drones not as hypothetical risks, but as tools already being used against law enforcement personnel across multiple agencies. These devices are being used to observe, to track movements, and to compromise operations. Her warning was measured but unmistakable. What has already been seen elsewhere is only a preview of what could arrive here if preparation falls short. This is where the hearing becomes a broader commentary on modern governance. Technology has flattened the battlefield. Distance no longer guarantees safety. Borders, once defined by geography, are now challenged by signals and sensors. The question facing lawmakers is not whether to act, but how quickly they can translate authority into action without eroding the principles they are sworn to uphold. The discussion of major events brought that reality into sharp focus. Millions of visitors, packed venues, open-air celebrations. These are symbols of freedom and civic life. But they also present complex security challenges. When Congressman Moore spoke about college football weekends with tens of thousands of people gathered in multiple cities at once, he wasn't exaggerating for effect. He was highlighting how normalized large-scale vulnerability has become in modern society. And then came the line that lingered in the air after his microphone cut off. "We must defend the home front." It was not a slogan. It was a conclusion drawn from everything that had been said. Defending the home front today does not look like it did decades ago. It requires coordination across agencies, constant technological adaptation, and lawmakers willing to confront uncomfortable trade-offs between speed and oversight. What this hearing ultimately reveals is a government caught between two clocks. One moves at the pace of innovation, where new capabilities emerge rapidly and unpredictably. The other moves at the pace of lawmaking, deliberate and cautious by necessity. The tension between those clocks defines the challenge of modern security policy. Leadership in this context is not about dramatic speeches or viral moments. It's about recognizing emerging realities before they become crises. It's about funding training before failure exposes the gap. It's about granting authority with clear limits rather than waiting until hesitation becomes consequence. As the gavel passed to the next speaker and the room moved on, the questions raised here did not disappear. They linger over stadiums, over city skylines, over the quiet hum of technology advancing faster than our comfort with it. Preparedness is not panic, it is responsibility. And ignoring these warnings does not preserve freedom, it risks it. In moments like this, the real test of a system is whether it listens when the conversation is calm or only reacts when it's too late. The choice, as always, belongs to those entrusted with power and to the public that holds them accountable. If you believe these moments matter, if you believe transparency and preparedness are worth defending, support our work. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA and stay with us as we continue to expose the truth shaping America's future.